Did Ramona get away? That works. Give him a holler. Thank you so much. In my hand.
Can I make a quick announcement before we start?
Yeah, absolutely.
Alex, I'm not having 1 minute on tape. Okay? I don't want this part on the tape.
Good morning, everybody. It is so nice to see the seats filling back up and people coming back for our fall in-gathering. This is like our pre-gathering week, I guess is what we call it. I am Reverend Dr. Claudia Hall. My pronouns are she or they, and I serve here in a lot of roles, as all of us do in a smaller church. Everybody has a lot of hats to wear. I'm going to be coming on as the RE coordinator and working with Miss Carol and Miss Marcella to do our education program for our children. I'm also a parent advocate over at Cardinal Glennon Children's Medical Center, and I am very privileged to be Missouri's first Kohenet, or Jewish priestess. Today we are trialing a new packet for the kids. I'm just looking around. I think everybody got one. What we're going to be doing is some days of the month we'll have RE in person with Miss Carol. Other times we will be having the kids in service with us, but I'll be putting together a packet of things for them. So they've got things to color and word searches and stuff like that so they can have something to do during worship instead of just sit here listening to us grown-ups and be bored. Welcome, everybody, to this home of comfort, spirit, justice, and hope. We are Unitarian Universalists. We're going to open our service this morning with a prelude. I should note all of our music is going to be virtual this morning. Joy has had a family emergency, and so Alex has kindly stepped up and is helping us make sure we have video, so we will have our hymns and things, but send your energy and thoughts to Joy and Ken if you can. So this is a video of the flight of the bumblebee. important ritual in our faith is the lighting of our chalice. We have many different interpretations of the flaming chalice, including the light of reason, the warmth of community, and the flame of hope. Join me in all of these reasons and more as we celebrate together, saying our unison words projected on the screen. We hallow this time together by kindling the lamp of our heritage. Will you join me as you are willing and able in a spirit of prayer and meditation? Holy nature, spirit of life from which we have all come and to which we all return, we gather here today knowing that our species has done great harm to this world in which we live. Help us, we pray, to become daily more mindful of the ways each and every action we take can promote our values and can help our beloved home, this earth. May each of us strive to be ever more in tune with the rhythms, ebbs, and flows of life around us, and may our participation in daily life grow ever more representative of our faith. Amen, and blessed be. I invite you to remain seated and join us in our opening hymn, number 21 in the Great Hymnal or on the screen, For the Beauty of the Earth.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of ear and eye, for the heart of mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. Source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
It is a tradition here at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Alton to place each service within the larger sources and principles that we as Unitarian Universalists hold dear. While we are a religion that has no requirement of creed or belief, we do have things that we've agreed to support overall. And the service today comes from our seventh principle, the interdependent web of which we are all a part. Some facts for you. Many of you may know this, but in case you don't, 90% of flowering plant species on the planet require pollinators to aid in their reproduction. They not only provide a food system for wildlife, but also shelter and all of the wood that we use in our own buildings. There are over 20,000 species of bees across the globe and 4,000 native to the United States. One of the ones we know the best is the honeybee, which ironically enough is actually not a native of this country. The honeybee is responsible for over a third of crop pollination, but these hardworking insects produce more than just flowers. They have 6 products in their own hives: pollen, honey, beeswax, royal jelly, propolis, and bee venom. All of these are collected and used for nutritional and medicinal purposes by humans. Bees also facilitate the production of biofuels like canola and palm oil, textiles like cotton, plant-based medicines, which many of us may be on whether or not we knew that they originally came from a plant, construction materials, feed for both livestock, wild animals, and ourselves. Perhaps, in my own opinion, most critically, without bees, there is no coffee and no chocolate. For these reasons and more, today we're going to focus on what each and every one of us can do to help the bees, whether you have a glorious farmstead yard or whether you have nothing more than a window pot. We are all dependent on each other, from bees to nations. It is in that spirit of interdependence that we now turn to our ritual of joys and concerns. As part of our weekly worship service, we take time for the expression of joys, concerns, and sorrows. Today, there are electric candles up here in the front, and I invite anyone who wants to light a candle to represent whatever is in your heart or thoughts to come forward, practicing your social distancing, of course, and light a candle. We go down this aisle and then back up this one. Please join us now in a moment of meditation. Spirit of hope, we have come forward this day, both in person and in our souls, with many things that we need prayer. We ask for the hope to endure our circumstances when they are difficult, for the community to surround us and help us, celebrating our joys and grieving with us in our sorrows. We ask that if we are in a stable and good place, that we can be useful to others to help bring about the change that we want to see in this world. In this and in all things, we ask for a soul of hope, of joy, and of love. Amen. Our next hymn is number 51 in the Gray Hymnal, and it'll be projected up on the wall as well. Lady of the Season's Laughter.
Lady of the season's laughter, in the summer's warmth be near. When the winter follows after, teach our spirits not to fear. On us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning year. Sister of the evening starlight, in the falling shadows stay. Here among us till the firelight up tomorrow's dawning ray. Of us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning day. Mother of the generations, in whose love our life is worth, everlasting celebrations bring our labor safe to birth. Of us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning earth.
Well, good morning again, everyone. It isn't often that when adults talk about the birds and the bees that they're talking about actual birds and actual bees, but we are today. I wanted to start by saying I am actually going to be focused a lot on honeybees, but I do want to take time to talk about the incredible number and diversity of bees that exist here in the Midwest. I knew a little bit, but as I dug in for this sermon, I learned a whole lot more. Bees are simply everywhere. They nest in trees, rocks, they rest in this like crinkly cellophane substance that they make themselves, in wood like your porch, and in the ground. They can be solitary or in large groups, and they can range in size, just the ones here in the Midwest, from smaller than a grain of rice to larger than my thumb. As I said earlier, there are 4,000 species of bees in North America and over 20,000 around the world. There are, as far as I can remember, about several hundred that live in Missouri and the Illinois area. Bees go back to the very beginning of flowering plants, at least as far as 100 million years. Vastly, vastly longer than the 300,000 or so years that we humans have been around. We often think about bees, of course, in the typical yellow and black of honeybees or bumblebees, but they actually come in a variety of colors, including black, green, blue, gray. They can be solid, striped, or have polka dots. It's absolutely amazing. Look up polka dotted bees on Google, and you'll see the cutest little pictures of these things. They are quite possibly the bee family, the most important pollinators on the planet, and there are a whole lot of species that have evolved just for one kind of bee, one kind of flower. For many crops, these native bees are essential because imported honeybees don't effectively move the pollen around between the flowers in the ways that these specialist bees can. For example, blueberries and cranberries are two of the many crops that rely almost exclusively on specialist bees to reproduce. They don't actually use honeybees in their reproduction. Almost every flowering plant on the planet has a bee to help pollinate it. They are literally crucial for life. Honeybees, of course, are our most well-known and most delicious, possibly, product, and they are very important for our survival. In the early days of human life, and possibly even our primate ancestors, honey provided an incredible source of calories during a hunter-gatherer time when every calorie counted. If you're like me and you have an allergy to bees, or if you just want to observe them without fear of getting stung, there are two places, and unfortunately they're both in South County, St. Louis, but Powder Valley Nature Center, which is just off of 270, has a see-through hive that you can actually watch all the bees making their hive, and they go out and you can watch them buzzing around the plants and come back in. And the same with the beekeeping store Isabees, which is in Fenton, where I actually got the candy and the honey that will be on offer during coffee hour. I was just captivated. I went in to kind of ask some questions and get some ideas for the sermon, and they showed me the honey. And this is the exact same hive at different seasons of the year, and one of the honeys is so pale that it almost looks like water, and the other one is so dark it looks more like molasses. Same hive, different seasons, different trees. It was just unbelievable. And the flavor differences are really striking. Most of us are used to commercialized honey that you buy in the grocery store or whatever, and that's just honey from everywhere that's mushed together into one big spot. But when you get these specialist honeys that come from one hive at one particular place, you can just be amazed. So if you get a chance, if you're not allergic or anything, go taste some of the honey. It's just really fabulous, the differences between the two. So as I said earlier, honeybees are not native to North America. They were imported here with the Europeans and their crops, and they still serve as the major pollinator of the crops that we enjoy. However, in the last couple of decades, there's been an incredible crisis in the honeybee world, and I'm assuming most of you have probably heard of colony collapse disorder. It was all over the news for a hot minute, and then it kind of tapered out and other things took its place. Well, the bees are still dying off at a very rapid rate. There's been a drop, somewhere between 30 to 90% of colonies have been lost. It started with hives dying off and people couldn't understand what was going on, but since 1 out of every 3 bites of food you put in your mouth requires a bee, it became incredibly important to figure this out. But our media, as I said, they're not, they go with whatever's the newest, hottest, flashiest thing, and so they gave it a lot of attention, and then it shifted, and bees weren't mentioned anymore. I was researching the bees, not just for this sermon, but also for our farm, because we would like to have some, native pollinators out there and to do some things with it. And I found that there's actually a lot of things going on behind the scenes. First of all, colony collapse disorder is a puzzle that they finally think they figured out. It's a complex group of things, and this is really going to dig down into this interconnectedness and interdependence that we have. The first thing that's caused a problem is our insistence on monoculture crops. In the wild, bees go to a very large variety of plants and trees and small shrubs that grow in your yard all the way up to the big tulips and the magnolias. And because of that, they bring back different pollens that have different bacteria and different things on them, and it keeps the honey healthier. So when the bees eat it, they're getting more of their multivitamins, and they're just healthier. Well, because what we've done in this country and around the world is we've forced everybody to have this monoculture crop. So a beehive is only going to pollinate this almond grove or this cherry orchard. They're not going to be used across and around all these fields. And so what's happening is the bees are getting sick. Just like any of us, if we tried to live on one kind of food, we would get sick because you don't have all the right nutrients. You don't have all the kinds of different probiotics and all this other stuff that you need. This isn't in itself a cause of the colony collapse, but the fact that the bees are sickly weakens the hive, and it makes it much more susceptible to the other things that are causing it, one of which is stress from pesticides and pollutants. In addition to poisoning the bees directly, they're also killing off these other kinds of native plants that the bees would use to supplement their food and to help address some of the nutritional deficit that pollinating monocrops gives them. So first thing is our insistence on monoculture has really hurt the bees because they don't have as many plants to choose from. The second thing is even the few plants that they have to choose from, we're killing half of them with pesticides and herbicides. And so the bees are really struggling to have a nutritious diet. I had personally never thought about it. I thought flowers were flowers. It had never occurred to me until I dug into this that, oh yeah, duh, of course they're going to need a wide variety of plants, just like we need a wide variety of things in our diet. And because the hives are weak and because the bees don't have the proper nutrition, there's this kind of mite called a Varroa Mite. and it's killing them. It's this horrific thing out of a science fiction movie where it's like this giant tick that latches onto the bees and sucks them dry of everything. And then because the bees are already weak, they don't have anything that they can do about it, and the whole hive disappears. These Varroa mites are an invasive species that were brought here by humans from somewhere else on the planet, and they wreak so much havoc that their scientific name, their Latin name, is actually Varroa destructor. You know, biologists get a lot of flack for their naming schemes, but in this case, this one is pretty accurate. You know, these mites, literally a handful of them, will just take over a whole hive and kill them all. So these are the major causes of colony collapse that have been discovered so far, and they're all our fault. Every single one of them, right? We're the ones that did the monoculture. We're the ones that killed off the other plants and insects. We're the ones that introduced this foreign species of mite. So humans, because we wanted as a world, I'm not talking about individuals here, I'm talking about human beings, right? We have created these systems that are harming not only the bees and the plants, but also ourselves. 1 out of every 3 bites of food comes from the bees. Now, the truth is that we can't fix it individually. Okay? None of us can stop the horror that is profit-driven commercial farming in America. And please note, I am not shaming farmers. I own a farm, and I can tell you how hard it is to make a living in the wake of these massive corporations. If any of you have time and energy and really want to get incensed about something, go look at the way the big companies send seed to the farmers that they have to pay for, and then they have to pay for the pesticide for that, and then they have to pay for this other thing, and if the crop, it's just terrible. Profit-driven world is not a world that's healthy for anyone. It's not healthy for the companies, it's not healthy for the farmers, and it's not healthy for those of us that need to eat that food. Because the whole system is not about saving the planet for us and future generations, it's about the biggest buck right now. This is the problem. Our global demands for consumption and profit have created a toxic group of systems that are crushing crops, farmers, and the bees that depend on us in the process. As I said, I do have a small farm in Salem, Missouri, and I feel the pressure of this and the weight of how hard it is to wade through the bureaucracy and the corporate nonsense and to try and turn a profit while being ethical doing it. I'll be honest, this is not my primary income on the farm, so I can afford to do more organic practices, to engage more with the things that need to happen. But the average small farmer doesn't, because that is their livelihood. And so they're just as trapped in this toxic system as anyone else. Most of us, though, are probably not farmers. We probably don't have acres of land that we can devote to these things. So what can we do to help the pollinators? First and foremost, and I think this is something that if you get nothing else out of what I say, get this: rewild your yard. It does not matter if all you have is a window box or if you have acres of land. You can plant native plants. You can let the plants that are already there go. You can get rid of invasive species. And in doing so, you're creating a way for the pollinators to thrive. Most of us grew up with this idea that a monoculture green lawn with no dandelions and no clover and no other weeds or plants was the ideal. This is in fact killing our urban pollinators. So again, if you can't do anything else, do this. Overseed your lawn, not with grass seed, but with clover. Let it grow a little longer. Let it get a little shaggy. Now, some of us have HOAs that are going to rip you a new one if you do this. So everything I'm telling you, take it with a grain of salt and adapt it to your own circumstances. I'm not blaming any of us. None of us live in a perfect world. If we did, I wouldn't need to be preaching this sermon, right? Go to grownative.org. It is on the Missouri side, but right here, the Missouri and Illinois plants are virtually identical, and you can look at them, and they can tell you what are plants for your area. The Missouri Botanical Gardens is also a good one, because again, the St. Louis Metro is all kind of one biologic area, and you'll find plants that are good, things that you can offer, ways that you can have alternatives to your grass. And you don't need to do it all at once. That's the other thing. We get really fired up about a thing, and we want to fix it right now. 8 billion people caused this problem. It's going to take a while to fix it. So what you do is, again, you got a bare spot in the yard because your dog refuses to go anywhere else. Put some clover in it or a native grass instead, especially one that thrives on ammonia. If a plant dies, make sure that it gets replaced with a native pollinator-friendly plant. Do the same for your trees and bushes. You had a tree fall down in the storm? Don't replace it with another Callery pear, which are like these horrifically invasive creatures. Replace it with a native tree that's going to grow up and provide native bees and other pollinators with the things they need to have a variety in their diet. As we replace our hostile monoculture thinking with a diverse, shaggy, wilder look, what we're going to do is we're going to enable all of these, from the littlest, teensiest bees all the way up to the big hives, to the hummingbirds, to the other pollinators, to have an environment that's much more like it was before the advent of us white colonial settler peoples. The second thing, and again, like I said, if your HOA won't let you go completely native, I used to live in one, and they refused to let us do that. So we put a fence in the backyard, and I planted the native plants back there. Find a way around the rules as best you can. I'm not asking any of you to get fines or to get, locked up for it. It's not worth that. But it is important, even if it's just 1 or 2 plants. We have one of those, they call them a butterfly bush for a reason, in a planter on our little balcony at our new house, and it is amazing. It always has pollinators on it. Always. One plant probably provides pollination for hundreds of different butterflies and moths and bees that are always around it. The second thing to do, in addition to rewilding your lawn or your home, is to avoid pesticides and fertilizers when you can. Now, this is one of those where I'm not an absolutist. I'm not going to tell you you may never use a pesticide. I'm allergic to wasps. I don't want to go to the hospital and have an anaphylactic reaction, so when I see them sitting and building a nest outside on my porch, I spray with pesticide because my health and my family's health is important. So I'm not going to blame you for doing the things you need to do to be safe, right? But the blanket applications that we used to do where we just dump all these chemicals all over and dump all this stuff on our lawns, if we can cut back on that, if we can cut it down and keep it to the bare minimums, it will allow the weeds to grow. It will allow the pollinators to thrive. Dandelions and clover are incredible, not only because they're pollinator food, but also because they're really important to fixing the proper nutrients in the soil, clover especially. So in addition to helping out the pollinators, you're also helping make the earth itself better and healthier for all of the people to come. If you do need to get rid of weeds because they're somewhere that you can't have them, if they're cracking up your pavement, if they're doing all these sorts of things, there are awesome recipes on the internet for soap and vinegar mixture, and I really thought it was goof. I didn't believe it, so I tested it out before I told all of you about it, and it actually does work. What happens is the vinegar coats everything, and then the soap basically prevents the plants from photosynthesizing properly. And it really does help. Is it going to be like Roundup and 24 hours later you have a plant, brown plant? No. It's probably going to take a few times, and it's going to take a little more effort, but it's something that's natural, that's not going to hurt the entire environment, and it's going to keep more of the nutrients in the soil than the things like Roundup let them do. Again, ability matters. If you have the capacity and the ability to do the good old-fashioned hand weeding, awesome. I don't. So I do empathize, and I want all of you to hear I'm not shaming anybody, I'm not blaming anybody, I'm just offering ideas that you can adapt to your own personal lives. So first, we rewild our yards, however that looks for you, be it a native plant in a pot or be it a huge yard. Second, we avoid pesticides and fertilizers whenever possible. Excuse me. And last but not least, be an advocate. People don't know. The media blips with something and then they go away and you don't hear about it anymore. Whatever it is that's important to you, whatever See, I need that coffee that the bees pollinate in order to speak about the bees. That's how this is. So being an advocate, being able to tell somebody, if you do have a homeowners association or a neighborhood group or something, see if you're up to it, see if you can talk about pollinators and how important it is to rewild your yard. If you're have a kid or a grandkid that goes to school, niece or nephew, whoever has a small people in your life, ask them if they can do a pollinator garden. There's a lot of schools that have an area set aside for stuff, and if you encourage them to do it, they might be willing to help the kids, plant pollinators. Make a bee house. I don't know, you've probably seen them in different places. I know Schnucks was carrying them for a while and Costco, but it's literally just rolled paper tubes stuck in a box that's waterproof, because a lot of the native bees will climb in there and use that to lay their eggs and make their nest for their young. Seed Savers is an organization that has heirloom and native plants. So these are really old heritage seeds, very far back. And what they're doing is they're helping get away from the monoculture. So even if you want carrots and corn and sweet potatoes in your yard, someplace like Seed Savers is a little more expensive. But if you have the capacity, again, I'm not blaming you if you don't, but if you have the capacity that you can get some of these heritage and heirloom breeds, put them in your yard, it's going to give a diversity of the nutrients to the pollinators. Becoming this advocate. Whatever it is you're already doing, we're all busy people. We may not have the time to take on new things and new projects, but whatever you're already doing in your life, be an advocate for our values. If I have heard anything in the past few months since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, it's people constantly making the argument that religious people believe blah. And I feel like it's incumbent on us to stand up and go, no, not all religious people think that way. The religious right does not represent every religious person in this country. There's a whole lot of us sitting in these pews, not only in this UU church, but in all the welcoming and friendly congregations who need to stand up and go, this is not right. Our religion says choice matters. Our religion says the earth matters. Our religion says we are interdependent with one another. Being an advocate right where you already are. These is what's going to help people, not only to make changes and to do things, but also to stand up. When one person steps up and has a voice and expresses that difference of opinion, it enables the other people who also feel that way to be encouraged and to stand up and to do those things. We are all part of an interconnected and interdependent web of life. We need bees to pollinate our food. Bees need us to engage in actions and words to enable their survival. We need this earth. It is the source of all of our goodness, all of our food, all of our vitality, and all of our life. But the earth needs us as well to stand up and say, corporations, your profit-driven model is wrong. My religion teaches me that this earth is important. It is not just about the stockholders' bottom line. It is about engaging in things that will enable humans to survive, not just today, not just tomorrow, but for hundreds and thousands of years. I hope that today you found a nugget in here somewhere of that interconnectedness, whether it's building a bee house or planting a pollinator plant or standing up and condemning the ways that this profit-driven culture has harmed so many. Whatever it is, we are all interconnected, we are all interdependent, and you do not do this alone. Look around you, for all of us here are standing up and saying, our religion is different, and it teaches us how to live quietly, how to live peacefully, and how to live in harmony with this planet. Amen, and blessed be. Our final hymn this morning is number 64 in the Gray Hymnal, "Oh, give us pleasure in the flowers today."
keep us near, all simply in the springing of the year. Oh, give us pleasure in the orchard bright, like nothing else I day that comes by night, and make us happy in the happy days. Thus warmed I living from the perfect dreams. And make us happy in the Arctic bird, that suddenly among the bees is heard. The meteor that burst in with needle veil, and upward rose of evening airs and sea. For this is love and nothing else is love, the which in His reserve for God above, to sanctify, to what more ends He will, but which in all believes that we will
Robin, are you going to do the honors this morning? All right. As Robin passes around our offering basket, I remind you that this community of faith and the hope of a religion that is inclusive, open-minded, and good stewards of this planet comes by your giving. Our stewardship is more than our financial donations. It is our time and our talent that is given to help this place. No matter what you can do, whether it be write a check, whether it be to offer time to help maintain this building, whether it be serving on a committee to help us find the next step in our journey, make coffee or bring snacks, whatever it is, donate as you can with your time, talent, and treasure, for all are needed to make this place prosper. You can also mail your gift to the post office box, or you can give electronically through Givelify or PayPal. If you're willing to give your time and talent, just grab Robin and she will make sure you have things to do.
Yes, I do.
Give what you will and what you're able, for you are a generous people. I ask you to join with me in our offering prayer. May this offering equip us to inspire love and seek justice. I know we have a few announcements this morning, so I'm going to turn over to Robin and let her tell us all what's what.
Absolutely. So we've got a couple of announcements here. I'll read the general ones. If you have a child or youth you want to enroll in our upcoming religious education program, fill out the yellow cards. They're also located on the table right out here. And place it in the small basket. If you have an item you want included in the September church newsletter, please get it to Mary Johnson. No, that's old. That's gone already. I'm like, we thought we already sent that out already. So, okay, good. Never mind, we're good there. Card for Ron Glossop is in the worker room. Is that still out there or no? I don't know. And I know Nancy wasn't feeling good. That's why she didn't come today. So, all right, good. Couple things. This coming Saturday is our Pride celebration in Alton. It's the first Alton Pride celebration. Thank God it's not in June when it's really, really hot. So hallelujah. We have a bunch of volunteers, but we need maybe a few more. So if people want to gather after church, we'll talk about the logistics of what that will look like. Mostly we need pamphlets, which I think Mary will show us where to find the pamphlets. Pat, we're going to talk about getting some beads and handing out beads. Maybe some water to hand out to people, but pretty much we're going to just keep it as an informational session, let people know we're here, kind of we're not all religions, we care about these things, and so that's our goal of communicating that to people. So we also have Tower Grove Pride, which is the smaller pride in Tower Grove Park. I'm trying to coordinate maybe with Elliot and with First Church, to do something there. I mean, we have a booth paid for, but we'll try to coordinate something. But we will need some volunteers for that as well. Even though it's It's a 2-day festival. I'm not sure we will table both days, but we'll talk about that and figure out what we want to do. And that's on September 24th and 25th. Next week is gathering. Yay! Woo woo! So we will be. I know I put in the newsletter that it was going to be an outdoor service, but we decided Krista wanted to do it indoors, which is perfectly fine. So no worries there. So it will be an indoor service, number one. Number two, it's a potluck. We are providing hot dogs, hamburgers, and we'll have vegetarian options. And if anybody has any dietary issues, let me know. We're asking you to bring side dishes and desserts. That's it. And we'll enjoy and have fun and reconnect. First time we've been able to do this in a really long time. Last year's in-gathering was pretty much me in the pulpit and nobody else, and that was kind of a bummer. So, it was fine. It was COVID. What are you going to do? I mean, but it was nice. It's nice to have people here. I'm excited about that. Last couple things. We need help decorating. Carol, thank you very much for pulling this stuff out. We need to remove our little pride tree and our pride flag, and we have fall decorations for the tree for here, as well as for in the worker room. So if somebody wants to stay after to help really quickly with decorating, it would be lovely. We would appreciate that. And then a few other sort of logistical things. One of the things that Nathan pointed out is Marquette Catholic next door has really sort of doubled down on being anti-LGBT, which shouldn't be a surprise, but nonetheless, it still bothers me. So we bought a flag to hang in front of our church so those kids will hear and know that we care. And so we need to get that hung up, maybe on the railings up front here afterwards. And then lastly, somebody was making a comment about those cute little stones that the kids made a couple of years ago, that we need some help digging that up. I brought a shovel. And since it rained, it should be easy to pull those things out, but I have the shovel we can get in. If somebody wants to roll up their sleeves and go out and do that, we would appreciate that as well. So I think that's it. And there's 5 million other things I could talk about. Go ahead, Carol. Oh, I'll let you talk about that. Yep. Okay, cool. Thank you.
So if anyone is interested in helping teach RRE, it is not going to be every week. The kids are going to be going out in the middle of the service. So basically, they'll be out for like the second hymn in the sermon for RE. And our hope is to do that a couple of times a month and then have packets for them like they had today for the other days. We just need to sit down with Carol and Marcella, who'll be doing our little folks, and just kind of coordinate that if you're at all interested. Again, if you're a parent, please fill that out and hand it to me. That would be great. I've already got y'all, so we're good. And yeah, if you have any other questions, RE-wise, I'm always available by email. I'm not always up here, but I'm always available, and so just let me know, and we can coordinate things for you and your family. Okay. So that email is awesome. It should be RE coordinator at Alton. We will put it in a special blast to people so we get it right. Let's do that. Yes, there will be an email that you can email me. We're going to get that fixed. So perfect. All right. Lots going on. It's a very, very busy time, and it's an exciting time. It's also stressful. Excitement and stress tend to go hand in hand, especially in church life. So I invite you to just take a breath in and a breath out, and to join me in reciting our prayers. We extinguish our chalice. The light of truth and meaning cannot be put out. We are keepers of this flame until we meet again. Let us go from this place knowing that we are all vital parts of the interdependent web of life, and that our small acts of mindful living and mindful speech can and do create ripples of hope, both for humans and the insects and animals who depend on us for their survival. Go forth in peace.
Thank